final fight begins up north. SNT Championship come down to final moments, and tonight will title battle. 5 drivers after our opening round, and it's time now to figure out what will happen as we head back to Brooklyn. This is the Michigan International Race. You are watching SNT Saturday Night Thunder. Thank you for tuning in as we have only just gotten started live on FTN. 90 laps await us tonight, and we are especially excited to continue the championship quest. Our first 2 races went especially well. Defending champions, former champions at the forefront. Jordan Kuntz and Matthew Weeks remain the 2 title favorites, and the rest of the field trails in line. Gino Marrow, a rookie, making his first ever Final 5 appearance alongside 2 other veterans in the form of both Vinny Tigner, the number 12 league owner, and alongside him in the championship pylon, Henry Kaloff. We got former race winners going back at it again, brand new drivers, and some of the best well-acclaimed drivers in this league's history. You're watching SNT coverage exclusively live on FTN. It's about time now we head downstairs to the racing circuit. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and right now drivers are setting their fast laps in a 5-minute qualifying session. As it stands, the top time on the board, well, you're going to see it on your screen, currently held by Matthew White. Matthew's going to find himself up to the top with a quick time. Currently, it is a 39.165. Henry Kaloff is additionally on the track, as are a few other drivers. Vinny Tigner just took to the circuit, and he'll be facing off against the circuit for the first time tonight. Vinny, he's a very strong driver at these 2-mile tracks. This comes up right in his wheelhouse, so expect Tigner to do a wonderful job of keeping up inside the top 5, and now with the championship implications on the table, he has no choice but to do exactly that. Vinny right now is going for his first lap. 5 drivers so far have taken at least one, and Jordan Owens, who won our most recent race, he finds himself up to the provisional pole position. He is not championship eligible, however, everyone else around him on that pylon, well, they all find themselves still fighting for the title. Tigner up to the pole position on the lap you just saw. It was a 39.074. Now Michael Deitch is on the way. Michael and his teammate Henry Kaloff are coming back to the circuit, the 2-car team in SNT competition, Kaloff Deitch Racing. The number 17, new look tonight, and currently finding himself quick. Should have some top 10 speed guaranteed at the minimum, as Mac Grab puts it up in a 6th and Gurrell 7th. Vinny Tigner's one and only lap was a strong one, and it looks like Michael Deitch will fall just behind the lineup in 8th. Jordan Kuntz now on the way in the number 99. Kuntz only 1 shot to get it right here. 4 turns, 2 miles, and these laps come rather quick in Michigan. That's what these drivers have to keep track of. Kuntz is going to decide to take it up to the high side to start. So going to get a little bit more of that momentum built up, and then going to go for, of course, that flying lap. Kuntz missed last week's race. If you might recall, it was Jordan Owens who was able to win and break away from the rest of the field. However, it was the other Jordan in Kuntz who couldn't give any competition, for he was out of the event, did not register, and was one of the final drivers to make it into the top 5 just because of that. Missing 1 race, a significant disadvantage. He's here tonight and now has to face off against Matthew Weeks. Weeks up to the provisional pole. Matthew's strongest track in SNT racing, it's Michigan, and now it looks like he's got that qualifying advantage. Only 1 other driver can take it away now with less than 30 seconds on the clock. As Jordan comes across the start-finish line, we'll take it under the apron lining, and it's a 38.833, 1/10 of a second quicker than Matthew Weeks. Jordan Kuntz collects the pole position. The final time taken on the track tonight in qualifying, the number 99 comes away with the advantage. Jordan Kuntz, pole position here in Michigan. And to kick off the championship race, starting in first, not a bad place to be at all. Jordan Kuntz, pole position in Michigan. The Track empties once again as drivers head in for a 5-minute practice session. Last session they'll have, as you can see now, Jordan Kuntz going to take it to pit road, as does Kenneth Garrell, Jackson Van Pelt. Van Pelt coming back after being eliminated last week from the championship fight. Notable eliminations. Let's talk about that first and foremost. Van Pelt, a veteran who did not make it over the cut line. Neither did Alec Daffin, Connor Asbell, Kenneth Garrell, nor Carter Casey. Jackson was 10th and last on that order. Alec Daffin, for the first time in his SNT career, he will not finish top 2 in the championship catalog, nor top 3. He's going to find himself outside the top 5 as a result of that elimination and an overall disappointing later half of the season for Alec, and it's all going to come down to that very minor gap between he and Gino Marrow last week, where Gino got away to enter the top 5. Practice now going to be on the move, and our starting grid has already been put together, so let's get to know the drivers from top to bottom on your starting lineup, one of the most important of the season. The championship battle will become 2 full races. Tonight and next week determine who comes away with the crown after more than 500, perhaps, miles of racing. We got a long one in store next week as well, but we kick off with 180 miles tonight at the Michigan International Speedway. Let's get to know that starting grid from top to bottom. Your last 2 champions, and they've accounted for the last 3 championships, they're up in front, first and second. Jordan Kuntz is going to grab the pole position in the number 99. Jordan will be there inside of row number 1, and Matthew Weeks, your defending title winner, he's there in second, 38.934, just about a tenth of a second off of Jordan Kuntz. That's good for P2, and a tenth of a second behind Weeks is Vinny Tigner, good for third place. It'll be Jordan Owens in fourth with a 39.094, almost able to take it up to third, but still going to grab a second row spot. Your defending race winner does. Rookie number 29. And that, of course, is going to be Matthew White. Matthew's going to start in 5th, and alongside him, championship contender Henry Kaloff. Kaloff still in the mix. 4 of your top 5 drivers inside of the first 3 rows. Then you'll have Trey Holmes in number 88. Mac Graham is going to be starting in 8th in that number 53. Trey was 100th of a second quicker in practice and able to get away with 7th place. P9 on the qualifying line will be Kenneth Garrell, eliminated from last week's competition, and Michael Deitch, who concludes the top 10. His teammate will be starting 2 rows ahead of him in the 3rd row on the outside as well in Henry Kaloff. 11th place is going to be Gino Marrow, the final championship driver eligible. He'll be starting outside the top 10 and the only one of the title fighters to do so. P11 for Gino. Then Rick Spencer-Walt will be in 12th tonight in the number 10. Finally, you'll have 2 more drivers, Jackson Van Pelt and Tyler Sevier. They're going to be 13th and 14th to make up the grid here in Michigan. 7 complete rows and a championship is on the line. The fight begins tonight in Michigan. That's your starting grid for the Michigan International 180. Putting away the starting grid, 1 minute and 30 seconds remain. The final moments are now just ahead for the field, and of course, every one of which knows there's a lot on the line tonight. The championship race is a little bit different this season. It is not a one and done, win it all type scenario. Instead, the championship broken up into 2 events, this week in Michigan, next week in Iowa. So, that means that tonight doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all. If you finish well tonight, it sets you up very well for next week, but it also means that you can falter. You can have a flaw in your race. You can have problems, but it will not mean you're out of championship contention. Granted, that comes with, of course, a pinch of salt. The best drivers remain, and they have been almost perfect all season long. Particularly, you got to talk about that front row who have been the front of the field for several seasons now. Vinny Tigner, and of course, he's been up there. He's your league owner, but even then, he's not been on the same level as someone like Jordan Kuntz or Matthew Weeks, who have been impeccable for more than a year and a half now in a row. This season, of course, has only taken up a couple of weeks. These drivers have been battling each other for years, and they're still doing so at the front of the pack. In his practice session, though, it's not quite the case. The fastest driver A little bit further behind on pit road, it's at number 29 of Matthew White. Matthew sets the final time and the fastest time in this session as well, coming in hot with a 39.071. Matthew White, quick time in your final practice in Michigan. And now, as your practice session concludes, qualifying already out of the way, it's time for green flag racing in Brooklyn, Michigan. Motor City comes alive almost every year in SNT. It's one of the most frequently visited tracks. We didn't go to it last season. We did instead go to its very, very similar neighbor in California. Across the country, you think about it, same country, but it's a lot of distance, thousands of miles from Michigan to California, where Fontana's Auto Club Speedway once stood. And Auto Club Speedway is the closest track all throughout the country to Michigan Speedway. Unfortunately, only one stands to this day, and it's the older of which, the Michigan International Speedway. In use since the late 1960s, this 2-mile circuit in Brooklyn, Michigan previously hosted NASCAR's longest race, a 600-mile spectacle, which was equivalent to the length of the Charlotte World 600. Nowadays, that doesn't happen, but Michigan's one of the fastest tracks in NASCAR's history as well. Even well into the 2010s, you saw lap times and lap speeds over 200 miles an hour. That's something you don't often see any longer, but in Michigan, it was still done very recent. Track conditions should be favorable for high-speed racing too. 65-degree ambient temperature and a 90-degree Fahrenheit track temp are going to be perfect for racing at high speeds at long distances. The field size is going to serve well for some good long green flag racing. We're expecting to see a one-stop pit stop strategy for tonight's event. 45-45 split should be good to go for drivers. They also have one faster pair to deal with if, of course, they make any significant errors. And right now, it looks like your entire field is on the track getting ready to go. Jordan Kuntz, Matthew Weeks, right alongside each other as they've been all year round. Pace car gets the signal and command to grab a gear and get moving, and it's going to be time for racing again. It's a star-studded field. The best drivers remain in championship contention, and 4 of which are on the front 3 rows. Gino Maro's a little bit of the odd man out. He doesn't find himself starting inside the top 10, but he is, of course, someone who's been very quick all season long. Still hasn't broken out for that first career win though, and that's what separates him from the rest of the drivers in the title fight. Jordan Kuntz has multiple race victories to speak of. Matthew Weeks, multiple to speak of as well. Vinny Tigner, multiple career wins. Henry Kaloff, 1 career victory. Gino Maro does not yet have a victory under his belt coming into the night, but that could change, and if it is to change, it would be on the most important night of the season. And now Gino gets going, as does the rest of the field. Jordan Kuntz and Matthew Weeks lead us out, and so we are racing once again. A few moments' time, less than 2 miles of travel for the iRacing pace car, and we can put it to rest and let the drivers get back to work. With Jordan Kuntz missing 1 race in the championship fight, everything is going to be reset once again. It is a winner-take-all formula stretched apart 2 races. So while Kuntz didn't come in as the top seed, it doesn't mean anything any longer. Everyone is back in the same spot as they were before, level with their competitors, which means now what you see in the next 90 laps will set the stage for next week in Iowa. If any driver makes a significant mistake, it could be ending their chances, but that doesn't mean you can't recover. There is an opportunity to recover next week, but you don't want to rely on it. Instead, tonight, the goal is simple for your final 5, win. And if you can't do that, do the best you can. Second place might be good enough. Third could be good enough tonight. We have seen our playoff spoilers get victories as of recent. Don't count out Jordan Owens or someone who's been eliminated before, but tonight the focus is on your title drivers. Jordan Kuntz and Matthew Weeks, your last 2 champions in SNT Racing, begin the championship round in Michigan. Kuntz gets the jump into turns 1 and 2. Matthew Weeks not too far behind. We're racing in the Northeast once again. Kuntz brings us in the opening turn in Michigan. Jordan Kuntz grabs that early advantage, and we'll see how fruitful that turns out to be, because Matthew Weeks is already going to fight him on the high side. Matthew a little bit more patient on the opening lap, and it isn't much of a major difference right now, but getting that lead could prove pivotal as the night goes on. The big question becomes with these high-speed tracks whether or not you want the clean air, or if you want to go a little bit longer when it comes to your tire and fuel strategy. That might be the difference, because those few extra laps can get you a stronger, more confident second stint. Right now, I think that someone like Matthew Weeks is looking a little bit toward the former instead, just trying to get up and away, trying to build that gap and make an advantage for himself rather than concerning himself with the tire strategy, which should be something that's out of mind, and the fuel strategy as well, which in all honesty, we've seen Matthew Weeks and Jordan Kuntz do this before. Even if they're pushing, it really isn't much of a concern as to whether or not they'll get over the line in one piece. Jordan Owens is already up to the front of the field as well. Jordan making some gains and maybe looking to be a back-to-back race winner. Unfortunately, Owens has been on this hot streak in the second half of the season, coming away with a win last week. Such a big deal for the 45 team, because now it shows next season we might have another title contender to deal with, the likes of which maybe we haven't seen in several seasons. Owens right now working ahead of Jordan Kuntz and Vinny Tigner and Henry Kaloff. Up next for him is going to be Matthew Weeks, and so now the number 63 is right alongside the number 11. Henry Kaloff decides to get to work first, and the Kaloff crew, new race leader tonight. KDR going to be a two-car enterprise, and they're at the front and the back of the field. Michael Deitch finds himself currently in 12th, but it looks like right now his teammates got the championship lead and the race lead all at once. It's going to be Henry Kaloff leading with Matthew Weeks now behind. Is this going to be an over-aggressive play for the number 63? Looks like Jordan Owens at the same time as Henry Kaloff decided to move further up the field. Looks like right now it's going to be Jordan Owens fading back. Almost intentionally. Didn't look like he lost any pace, but it looks like he slid back and understood the circumstance might have just shifted. Now it looks like maybe someone else in the championship fight is going to get that lead, thinking it's good to push, good to be aggressive. But you can't stay at your top pace for 20 plus laps. Not possible just based on the tire. When the tire burns, it does not come back. So for Henry Kaloff, playing a risky game at the start of this one. 13 drivers got away to the start-finish line. It does not look like Rick Spencer-Walt got through. The rest of the field, however, is still with us. Henry Kaloff right now leading for the first time tonight. Hasn't had a lot of chances to lead this season, but rest assured the former race winner knows what it's like to be up here. Started in 6th. That's the lowest spot he's been in all night long. Ever since then, he's just been making gains. And Kaloff has dealt with this track many a time before, be it in the FORL Cup Series, in which he won the Season 4 championship, the IORA Cup Series, which has seen this track multiple times on the schedule, and SNT before. This is not an unfamiliar track for most drivers, and Henry Kaloff showing that experience is coming in handy. But is it a good thing now to make this gap significantly large, significantly quicker? Matthew Weeks is going to find himself second here, about a half second back, and doesn't look to be all too concerned with what's going on there with Kaloff. As a matter of fact, it's almost natural to see these drivers lie back when a leader gets a jump like this, because you don't expect that pace to be permanent. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now from Matthew Weeks. Wait, bide your time, and figure out what happens up next. Vinny Tigner is going to be in 3rd, Gino Marro is going to be in 4th, and Jordan Owens is in P5, all of which are going to be running in a single file line here. Patience is proving key very early on, and it looks like all eyes are going to be on the race leader to tow the field around and get everyone good on fuel and tire for the next few laps. So, patience being such an important factor doesn't mean that these drivers won't race each other. Matter of fact, it looks like right now we're starting to see a little bit more motion in the middle of this field. Gino Marro starting to put some pressure down on Vinny Tigner, and as a result, it looks like Tigner is now going to decide to slide down to the bottom. As Vinny does so, looks like he's going to leave Matthew Weeks up to dry up top, and Matthew doesn't really do anything to defend against it. Good to see here, starting to get that back and forth motion, and Vinny Tigner has caught up rather quickly to Henry Kaloff. Mind you, the lap capped, of course, from 7 to 9. We've seen a deficit of 0.2 already taken off for Kaloff here. Vinny Tigner was 0.6 of a second back on lap 7. 37 hundredths back through lap 8, and now it looks like that gap has shrunk once again. Coming across the line, you might see it under 0.2 of a second officially, and according to iRacing timing and scoring, that indeed is the case. 18 hundredths. Vinny Tigner's closing in fast, and that also means the rest of the field is closing in at the same time. So this early aggression for Henry Kaloff, it got him the lead, got him that track position, but I can't imagine now he's going to be able to hang on. It's not like an intermediate track where you're going 1.5 miles each time around. These are long 2-mile circuits, so we're already 20 miles in, and you're starting to see the tire wear for drivers who are pushing hard. Henry Kaloff is already in the 42nd bracket of laps. Meanwhile, your drivers who stayed a little bit more patient, they're still in the 39s, and this is the difference between saving and waiting. Vinny Tigner now has got himself the race lead, not across the line, but through turns 1 and 2. They're practically neck and neck, and the advantage looks to be in Kaloff's favor as Vinny Tigner slides and almost gets into the number 63 there. He had to back off and reestablish himself, but all things considered, he is still right there. Moreover, Gino Marrow has gotten ahead of Matthew Weeks, and Jordan Kuntz is now going to find himself all the way behind. He's the only championship contender now who's the outlier. He's running in 7th. Meanwhile, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 at the head of the field for the rest of the championship battlers. Interesting to see now that these 4 drivers have gotten up and away, and Jordan Kuntz, who was your pole sitter, has fallen back. And it's not to say he's fallen back far, but it looks like he has decided to take this strategy of waiting and biding time to the absolute max. Unlike the drivers ahead of him here, Jordan Kuntz is going to have a little bit of a trail to work with directly. Meanwhile, the front 4 are battling amongst each other for position as if it is the last lap and the most important moment. Henry Kaloff still actually has the advantage now that Tigner, Marrow, and Weeks have tried to take it from him. Kaloff will prevail, at least temporarily, and we'll see how much longer that lasts. But so far, it looks like Henry's been able to defend strongly. Into lap number 13, he will still have the lead, and it'll become less than 1/10 of a second here if Vinny Tigner can just make a move, either to the inside or outside again. Gino Marrow in the best spot he's been in all throughout this season for the championship, and this is what it comes down to, just getting to the big moment, these final 2 races. If you're a Final 5 driver, it really doesn't matter how the rest of your season has gone to this point. Those early races don't have any impact on what happens from here, so if someone like Gino Marrow was to win 2 consecutive races, doesn't matter if they won every race this season or if they haven't won any. Now's the time you can clinch the championship, and Vinny Tigner's decided to take full advantage of that. Your Auto Club winner is now up in front. New race leader, the number 63 of Kaloff, this time has no choice but to back off. It will be Vinny Tigner now up into P2. Gino Marrow is going to be 3rd, and now it looks like Henry Kaloff finds himself smack in the middle again. This time, for the first time all night long, Kaloff has lost a position and might be trending downward, but he'll decide to put an end to that. Kaloff to the race lead once again. Vinny Tigner is going to have to let him have it, diving down and eventually having to come right back up the track. Henry has the advantage, and now Matthew Weeks looks low on Gino Marrow. So maybe Vinny Tigner trying to get back up to Henry Kaloff actually burned out his stuff as well. And that's when that advantage and trying to jump out for a big gap might actually play as a well thought out strategy for Henry Kaloff. He made it so drivers had to fight to get back up to him. And now that they've fought for it, it's not going to be easy for them to fight to take the spot. Gino Marrow is going to see if he can make it look easy. And it looks like out of turns 3 and 4, he won't be able to do so. Gino gets loose, slides once, twice, and here comes Kaloff. He'll be coming around the high side of the front straightaway again with the lead, and KDR, they've got the advantage in these opening 15 laps. Henry Kaloff is again ahead, and Gino Marrow is going to see Vinny Tigner take it bottom side 3 wide to get ahead of both Matthew Weeks and Marrow alike. Toe-to-toe now, it's going to be 3 drivers spread apart by only about a half-tenth, and still Henry Kaloff is the man who leads this pack, and Jordan Kuntz is definitely able to keep up. You can see him now on the back end of the bubble. He's got Jackson Van Pelt and Jordan Owens also looking through. These 7 drivers, from Kaloff down to Kuntz, look to be, relatively speaking, at about the same pace of one another. So there's not a lot of difference going on between those who are going double file or single file. I think now it just comes down to whether or not you can afford to hang on or if you need to push to stay here. And maybe those who are hanging on just by drafting are those who will have the advantage in the long term. Currently, it looks like Henry Kaloff is still going to have the lead, but now it's Matthew Weeks up to second. Taking a ride on board with the number 11 car, it looks like it's simple for him to go down to the inside. Kaloff won't block there. Will Weeks have a chance to lunge and take the advantage? Still ahead now, Gino Marrow, but no sign of the 63 on this back-end camera, and it looks like Kaloff instead is going to surge up top. Henry Kaloff is going to stay toe-to-toe now. The number 11 of Matthew Weeks remains on the bottom. Side by side at the line into lap number 18. Kaloff is right there. He's still got the ceiling, and the number 11's got the floor, but this might be the first time for any driver that they can actually get by Kaloff. Won't work out. Matthew Weeks again is one of the many drivers who have failed to pass Kaloff. Henry's got a rocket under him so far. And it's rather impressive to see. Henry Kaloff has been defending in a fantastic way. We would have thought that maybe being so aggressive would cost him, but instead, it's done the exact opposite. Everyone else has shaken up. Now Jackson Van Pelt is driving through the middle of this pack. He's going to decide to make a move now with Gino Marrow and Jordan Owens. Vinny Tigner's going to find himself almost to the back of the field, and it looks like Jordan Kuntz has decided to keep his distance in 7th. He'll look low, but doesn't look to have any signs of showing willingness to be aggressive. He'll just decide to bide his time and wait. Contact with Vinny Tigner. A little bit of front end action there for the 99. Vinny has to get all the way up the track and merge quick. Can he stay with the draft here? Now that's the big question. From fighting for the race lead 5 laps ago to barely staying with the main drivers. Vinny Tigner now is going to be in a bad spot, and it looks like it was Jordan Kuntz with some accidental contact between the two of them that put him in there. Take a look back now and you'll see what happened between Vinny Tigner and, of course, Vinny Tigner and the 99. They both got involved here. Very brief incident, but it looks like it's going to have a major impact. As the 99 came up the circuit, Vinny Tigner went down. Just looks like Vinny getting a little bit of piece there from the front end and some quarter panel contact. Luckily, Vinny saving it at a high speed, but now he's going to find himself P8 and mixed in with his second group. Kenneth Garrell did get by. As such, it's going to be small up there. Only 6 drivers fighting up and ahead. Henry Kaloff and Matthew Weeks are the drivers going toe-to-toe, and now Matthew Weeks does have the advantage on Henry Kaloff. Took a while to get there, but the number 63 now will falter for the first time tonight, only to keep second place on Gino Marrow. Gino tries to dive deep, but it looks like through the outside of the corners there's a lot more momentum built up, and the second groove has been largely preferential so far tonight. Kaloff doesn't have the room or the speed to make it back and try to go for a second slide job on the number 11. For now, he's going to have to settle and let it happen. Jordan Owens is going to be 4th now to Gino Marrow's 3rd. Jackson Van Pelt is P5, and Jordan Kuntz, just by virtue of staying in the draft after that contact, is in 6th. So even though he was involved in the incident, he's still going to gain a little bit and make an advantage of it. We'll see how long that lasts. Maybe a little bit of tire damage or scruffing, but it shouldn't be anything crazy for either Vinny Tigner or Jordan Kuntz. Vinny is still going to be in the frame about a second back now on the number 99. Maybe if he gets back up to Kenneth Garrell again, he's got a shot to maybe make something work. The draft is not going to be as major as it would be at Daytona or Talladega. It's a fast track, Michigan is, and since there's unrestricted engines, you're going to see being, of course, speeds as high as Talladega or Daytona, but that doesn't mean the cornering speeds will be equivalent. Matter of fact, it's going to be those corners where drivers really begin to struggle. You'll see 10 to 15 miles an hour of braking all throughout. Letting off the throttle does a lot as well. You're not going to see drivers heavy on the brakes, but they will be heavily losing speed. And when they do so, you can't expect them to get through with the same amount of power in the corners, which means the draft won't mean as much. When you're drafting in course at high speed, when you're accelerating, it does something. But when you're all braking at the same time, what speed is there to gain when everyone is losing? There's really none. So right now, if you're in the back of this pack, you've just got to prioritize staying with the field through those sections where you can get the draft, accelerating down the front and back straightaway well, getting your release points just right, That will separate you from, of course, a victory or a defeat. And so far, Jordan Kuhn's going to make the move on Jackson Van Pelt and might have a chance to make one now on Jordan Owens. Owens getting rather close to being placed out of line here, the 45 machine, but it looks like so far that hasn't occurred. Jordan Kuhn's side by side now with Jackson Van Pelt. Take a look on board from the driver, the number 99, and you'll see exactly what he's looking at in the middle of this lead group. Watching on board now with Jordan Kuhn, you can see down the straightaways full on at up to 190 miles an hour, and not a lot of brake being used through these corners here, just a sign to let the car slide, and that's the way to go about these turns without concerning yourself too much about the tire. If you want to wear them less, use them less, and the brakes do impact the tires here. So as it stands, it looks like Jordan Kuhn's gonna decide to play it a little bit more conservative, just let the car do its thing, especially through those turns, which it looks like he's done a pretty good job of. But right now, the field is still stacking itself up. Matthew Weeks has gotten away. He's got a 7/10 of a second advantage, and it looks like Jordan Owens goes sliding. Owens down to the apron, and luckily nothing happens. No major damage. Yellow flag is out. Sliding down to the inside of the circuit, Jordan Owens in the 45. Cautions out for the first time tonight, and it looks like some minor contact again makes the difference. Going to save Vinny Tigner's race, and Jordan Owens as well. Yellow flags out, and this is why. So Owens going to get a nudge here from Jordan Kuntz. The second time this has happened with Kuntz, and it looks like a very similar incident to that of Vinny Tigner. Basically, the same thing happened again, and this time the 45 was a driver who took the hit. So caution is going to be out, and it will be the first time doing so. We'll see drivers come down to pit road for the first time tonight. It looks like there's really no reason to avoid it now as Matthew Weeks and company get settled in. Pit road, expecting 4 tires and fuel for most every driver. All 13 are on the lead lap still, so no major shakeups have happened so far. Matthew Weeks, Gino Merrill, Henry Caloff, and Jordan Kuntz. 4 of the 5 championship drivers are going to lead us into pit road, and of the top 6, all 5 of your title contenders are still with us up front. Now as we head into pit road this time, and Matthew Weeks is going to have the advantage, but it will not mean much coming in. Now we'll see what happens on the way coming out. Matthew right now is going to find himself just ahead of Marrow, but that could change. It could be another driver who gets the edge, maybe 2 higher strategy comes into play, maybe less fuel. We'll see what happens now as drivers enter pit road and their stalls respectively. The goal, of course, getting out of those green cones the first of anyone. And the entire field just went in here, so there will be no driver deciding to stick it out and waiting for a green flag pit stop. Gino Marrow now going to get on the way. It looks like he just got done with this pit stop and coming across the line. It will be at the line. Gino Marrow, it looks like barely getting the edge. Matthew Weeks is right there with them. The call at the line will go in Weeks' way. Then you have Gino Marrow. Henry Caloff will be in 3rd. 4th, Vinny Tigner. 5th is going to be Matt Grab, and Jackson Van Pelt will then be in the 6th spot. 29 laps in out of 90. Barely Matthew Weeks at the stripe. And Gino Marrow going to make some changes here, and it looks like he'll get up ahead of both Henry Kaloff and Vinny Tigner, just slightly quicker on the ins and outs compared to most drivers. Fastest pit stop on the day so far will go to Gino Marrow, 38.4, quicker by about a half second compared to Henry Kaloff. Matthew Weeks, very good job there. Matt Grab a little bit quicker, as it looks like he did take less fuel, coming in at 38 seconds flat to get up to P5. So Mac actually going to get that title, but Gino Marrow half a second quicker than his driving rivals around him, and that's going to play in major to getting up into this track position without having to work for it as the race goes on. So, one lap to green now as the iRacing pace car turns off the lights. Matthew Weeks and Gino Marrow, first and second once again. Matthew looking especially strong tonight, and it looks like very little issue now for the number 11 to take control of this race and keep it in his jurisdiction. We got Gino Marrow, of course, running in P2, but the problem now becomes for Gino, what can he do to fend off Matthew Weeks, who took a little bit of a time to get up to the race lead and try to make it happen for himself, but when he got that lead, he ran away. Now he has it, and he will not have to work for it. Does that mean the rest of the field is in big trouble, or is there any way they can recover against the driver, the 11, now that he has exactly what he wants, being, of course, the race lead? That's the question the field's going to have to answer. Jordan Kuntz right now going to be last of the title contenders again. He finds himself in 7th place. So he'll have to wait a little bit of a while, maybe a few laps to get up there if he so chooses. That remains to be seen in just a few moments. Time to go racing once again. Matthew Weeks, Gino Marrow, Henry Kaloff, Vinny Tigner. They're going to be your fast four as we get on for your first restart of the night, and it's time to see who's got what it takes. Green flag flies. Number 11 gets the jump, and an immediate boost out for Matthew Weeks. He gets about 0.2 of a second, and he'll begin this restart by taking command of the field once more. Weeks comes across the back straightaway, still with that advantage he holds over the rest of the field. Gino Marrow and Henry Kaloff will be second and third. Then you have Vinny Tigner. Vinny currently finds himself in that 4th spot, and it looks like getting that recovery from the caution. Very similar incidents that bring out the caution eventually. You first saw, of course, Vinny Tigner contact with Jordan Kuntz. Then it was Jordan Owens contact with Jordan Kuntz. Right now, everyone's going to be on the lead lap except for Tyler Sever in the number 77, who just had internet troubles and immediately reconnected, so should come back on the track about 2 to 3 laps down at the very most. Shouldn't be anything too much to worry about if, of course, there is a caution, but that's not a guarantee. What is, though, is that Gino Marrow has room and is looking low. Duck into the inside. The number 71 takes the lead for the first time tonight. Gino Marrow is up and ahead, and a rookie with a lot to prove enter the number 71, leading for the first time tonight. And for Gino Marrow, not only would this be his first podium if he is to get the job done, it would of course be his first win, something he's been waiting for all throughout the year. A brand new driver in the SNT catalog, and it looks like he's been able to assimilate as a veteran rather quick. Top 5 finishes galore will exactly got him here, so it doesn't mean that you have to win to get to this point. It just happens to be a major advantage, of course, if you can do so. But for Gino Marrow, he played the system just right to get here, and now it's all about winning when it matters most. So for Gino to have the lead is monumental for this team, and now the 71 just has to figure things out. Matthew Weeks, though, is not going to make it easy. The pressure is still on for that number 11. And Weeks currently finds himself only a few tenths back on the race lead. And rest assured for Matthew, if he gets an opportunity, he knows he's going to take it. Now we'll see, of course, whether or not he is given an opportunity. That becomes the big problem. Can you avoid making a mistake? Now for Henry Kaloff, he'll have to do the same thing. Kaloff might be on the offensive right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy because Matthew Weeks is also notoriously known a difficult driver to pass. Doesn't mean it's going to be unfair, unclean racing, but we saw at Pocono when Jordan Kuntz barely got away with the victory. Well, it all came down to one simple factor. The driver, the 99, he had to keep in it even though he got loose, just trying to find an inch on Matthew Weeks. Weeks held his line. Jordan Kuntz, he held his line, and it came down to slipping and sliding. Weeks did not make it easy. He might have not won on that night, but he surely gave a good challenge to Jordan Kuntz, the number 99. I'm sure he knew that. But tonight, it looks like Matthew Weeks actually fades back to start this run again. He's going to let Gino Narrow maybe do something a little bit more like what Henry Kaloff did to kick off the race. Be a little bit more aggressive to start and take the fall for the rest of the field. Is that the best thing to do for anyone's strategy, though? Be the leader early. It almost seems like for the first 10 to 15 laps of a run, you don't want to be the race leader. You're out there, you're burning up your fuel, you have nobody else to rely on, and your tires, just about as much as everyone else, they will still get worn. So you actually, strategically speaking, don't have the edge if you're leading. With 10 laps to go, 5 laps to go, no question the driver wants to be the race leader. But everything else in between is very difficult to figure out in regards to, of course, whether or not you're working yourself right. Do you have the right pace to go the full distance you need to? It shouldn't be as much of a concern already getting one caution in, but now, with that being said, you still have a few extra laps that haven't been accounted for. Estimating that our fuel runs are going to last about 45 laps tonight, which means that we have about 5 or 6 laps that are really out of the question. Maybe some drivers can get it up to 50 laps of running, but right now, there is no guarantee, and that's the problem. We still could see a second green flag cycle, so someone like Gino Narrow would have to prepare for that, and I don't think those preparations have been done by any driver in the field so far in a situation like this. One caution, which we don't get all too many of them, and it came at such a time where it won't mean we can go the full distance. If a caution were to fly right now, it would basically guarantee that if the drivers save just right, they'll get there. Jordan Kuntz doesn't look all too concerned with saving. He now looks to be on the offense himself. Enter the number 99. Jordan Kuntz now making his way into the front of the field, and with them it's going to be, of course, Matthew Weeks, Gino Narrow. Side by side now, the two former champions are right at each other, and it looks like Jordan Kuntz is going to keep himself here. He'll block Henry Kaloff. An aggressive block up to the high side of the track. Vinny Tigner also going to look low. And with Vinny heading down to the bottom, it looks like Jordan Kuntz here is once again outmatched. Simply too many drivers in one spot to make any crazy moves. And so the 99 is going to have to lie back all over again. And talk about a tricky spot here. Everyone knows these next few laps are going to be pivotal, but how are they going to be approached? It looks like a little bit more aggression now from Vinny Tigner and company. Vinny's going to dive deep once again. He'll let Jordan Kuntz have that higher groove, and Henry Kaloff once again fades behind. Top 5 drivers are your 5 drivers who are championship eligible. These are the drivers to look out for. They will be fighting for the title, and they're now all up in front in one bundle, showing exactly why they are the best in the field. Racing each other clean, racing each other hard. This is what the best of S&T racing is all about. When the top drivers in the field go at each other and do so without regard for what track we're at, what car we're racing, it always seems to click with these front runners, and it's doing so again. Matthew Weeks is going to look low on Gino Narrow. This will be the move for the lead once more. The number 11, he'll get there, but now he's going to have to do what he did last time around. He's going to have to try and run away, something which has looked nearly impossible tonight, but the number 11 has the track position to do it. Henry Kaloff side by side with Vinny Tigner, and this would try to move Kaloff up to 4th, and now Jordan Kuntz is going to be looking for P2 and might be looking for the lead. And talk about close calls now. We're starting to see these drivers get right at each other all over again. The number 71 of Gino Maro is going to decide to drop low, this time to take the lead back from Matthew Weeks. Almost a slide job maneuver, but he's going to be a little bit more calm and controlled with it. Doesn't want to make anything crazy happen. Only 41 laps in. Now, Matthew Weeks dives to the bottom once again. He'll take Henry Kaloff with him. Henry has gotten by Vinny Tigner, not just for fourth, but he's also gotten by Jordan Kuntz now for P3. This is now going to be in Kaloff's domain once again. The fight looks to be in his favor with the number 63 even sliding. He'll just have to take a step back now, and Gino Maro is going to have to take a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, of course, there's still the 99. Jordan Kuntz on looking as the lead battle has been swapping hands back and forth all over again. Right now, it looks like number 11 of Matthew Weeks is still exactly where he needs to be. He hasn't been able to take that lead outright, but he's giving more pressure than he has all throughout the night. Gino Maro, he's doing an even better job than we expected of defending. The rookie driver making veteran moves to keep his fight for the title alive. Meanwhile, it's single file again just behind him. So Gino and company should concern themselves a lot less with what's going to happen at the tail end of this pack, even though it's only 5 drivers, and now their concerns are going to be one another. Chimera Creative, number 71, holds the fort. Matthew Weeks is only about 1/10 of a second behind, and with some finesse, he could take that lead and extend it by more than a quarter second. Forcing a mistake, also something to consider. We have the quickest drivers in the field all around each other, and not a lot of times do drivers make mistakes, but when the pressure rises, you eventually see things boil over. Some drivers have gotten loose a few times. It hasn't been anything all too crazy. Same goes for a few drivers sliding out with some minor contact, but all things considered, even those involved in the incidents are still running up inside the top 10. Now, this is when it becomes more intense than just sliding back and forth. This is when it becomes about whether or not you end up in a big wreck or if you end up making it to the end. You might remember Season 5 of the SNT Truck Series, Jordan Kuntz and Alec Daffin and Vinny Tigner were in a gaggle of cars very similar to what you're seeing right now. On the last lap, and all 3 of them made contact. All 3 had significant damage. Only one got to the checkered flag in one piece. That was race winner Jordan Kuntz. So the 99 knows what it's like to be in these spots and get away as the lucky driver, and Vinny Tigner knows what it's like to be unlucky and just get caught up at the wrong place in the wrong time. Gino Maro knows no such thing, and Matthew Weeks, well, for all that excitement in Atlanta was earlier this year, you didn't quite see the same thing. Tire strategy, yes. Matthew Weeks made a major save as well, but it doesn't mean that you've seen what happens in a pack when things go awry. That's a completely different level of chaos because it's not just you who gets involved, it's everyone around you. Oh, Jordan Kuntz goes up the track, and speak of the pack, both drivers wreck. The 99 and 11 immediately hooked up the circuit. Caution's out for the second time tonight. Pit strategy will end with this stop and talk about what happens in the pack. Your 2 leading championship contenders both hit big. Instant replay will show you what happened. Caution is out for the second time tonight, and this is what happens when you're close to other drivers. It looked like Kuntz was sliding up to begin with, then Matthew Weeks made the contact, and so went Henry Kaloff into Matthew Weeks. Yellow flag is out. Kuntz got away driving straight. Matthew Weeks, meanwhile, will take a look on board and you'll see exactly what happened here as the number 11 eventually ended up spinning. Here's a quick look. Shot up the circuit when he made that contact with Henry Kaloff, and so the caution is out. Matthew Weeks, Jordan Kuntz. Yellow flag for the second time tonight. Pit road just got busy. Let's take a look up to the leading grouping, who are all getting themselves ready now. Gino Maro, still your race leader. Then you got Vinny Tigner and Jordan Kuntz. And right now, all eyes are on that pit strategy. Last time drivers went down and in, it was about 20 laps ago. Now everyone's coming in, and it's going to be a very secure position to be in, because now that we've gotten beyond the halfway point, this pit stop should be, in effect, the be-all, end-all for a driver's strategy. Now the number 71 of Gino Marrow comes in, so does Vinny Tigner, Jordan Kuntz, Jackson Van Pelt, all of which now ascending upon pit road, and this will be the work that ends the night. Hopefully for these drivers. If there's damage or another caution, that could change, but it's official now. They will make it to the end of the race on this set if necessary. There will not be a problem. Now we'll see, of course, if drivers set themselves up accordingly. Marrow once again gets on the move, and it looks like the 71 will this time be in a 3-wide fight. At the line, the call is going to be made in favor of the 71. Gino Marrow at last gets the edge. Then you have Jordan Kuntz, and Kuntz is going to drive away just before Vinny Tigner. And this is going to leave one driver notably behind, Matthew Weeks. He's going to be all the way now in P10. And it looks like now the number 11 alongside Kenneth Gorell. Bad news now for that number 11, Matthew Weeks, with some trouble. We'll see, of course, he can recover. There's more than likely enough time for him to get inside the top 5, but setting oneself that far behind in track position means more than you might think. Not a lot of drivers with us tonight, and 12 of which are on the lead lap, but even then, when those top 5 or 6 get away, they are much quicker than everyone else behind. The front half and the back half are a completely different level of pace. And so as a result, you begin to wonder what's going on, as it looks like Gino Marrow heads down a pit road, and it now is going to be Jordan Kuntz up and ahead. Kuntz is going to take the race lead. Marrow going in for a second pit stop, and it looks like a mistake in the previous run there. And the number 71, Gino Marrow, going to have to be all the way to the back of the field with Matthew Weeks, and with them as well, it looks like Henry Kaloff. So now the championship battle split up, and your top 2 are still, yes, the title fighters, but this also means you've got some different drivers up and ahead in that grouping that you can keep your eyes peeled for. Kuntz, Tigner, they're 1-2, and then you've got further back 9th in Matthew Weeks, 11th in Gino Marrow, and Henry Kaloff, position number 12. So, caution flag is going to fly for the second time today. 49 laps in out of 90 here in the Michigan International Speedway, and the SNT Championship begins with this. Reminder again of who is championship eligible in the round of 5. Vinny Tigner, Matthew Weeks, Jordan Kuntz, and Gino Marrow. 5 drivers are still in this one, and they're all coming in level on points, which means that as it stands, this race sets the benchmark. Next week is your season finale, and it might be your championship finale too. It all depends on how well these drivers do. If Jordan Kuntz, say for instance, won and everyone else finishes outside the top 10, well then he would basically have the title wrapped up. But that's not a guarantee, and with how well the final 5 have been driving tonight, we might just see them all come even into Iowa, which is a very real possibility as the green flag flies for lap number 50. Jordan Kuntz is going to lead with Vinny Tigner there in second, and your second restart sees the 99 this time get the advantage. So, Kuntz going to come away, but it's a gaggle of cars now, all behind, 3 wide between Kenneth Gorell, Matthew Weeks, and Michael Deitch. Deitch now going to get the advantage, and he's ahead of his teammate for the first time tonight. KDR currently running in 8th and 11th. Kaloff going to be the latter of which, not at all where he would like to be, and that number 63's got himself a bit of a problem now. Track position, same goes for Gino Marrow. How will these 2 drivers work together, if they have to anyway, to make the move up? I mean, even Matthew Weeks here. Matthew's going to be in 9th. This is giving Jordan Kuntz all the opportunity he needs to recover from what was overall a subpar start, and now that's all behind him. The cautions have come at the right times, and as a result, the number 99 team leads more than halfway into this race. And what comes of it now? No promises. Vinny Tigner is going to find himself low. It looks like he wasn't able to immediately get back to Jordan Kuntz, but Jackson Van Pelt might be the only driver now that stands in his way. Jackson got up to the top rather fast, and so it looks like there's a shot for the number 12 to just take it low, run a slide job once again, and maybe Jordan Kuntz is going to have a chance to block both of them. Contact! Vinny Tigner down low, gets it onto the apron, saves it, but again, all those small instances of back and forth are going to cause some major problems. Jordan Owens is going to take advantage as a result, but contact again. 2 drivers spin, 3 drivers spin, the big one in Michigan. Van Pelt, Deitch, Matthew White, and others involved in your third wreck of the day. Caution is out, and some chaos up in front. Some championship competitors might have been involved here, as we're going to take a look again. Yellow flag will fly. Matthew White, Michael Deitch, among others, and it starts with Jordan Owens and Jackson Van Pelt. Then White getting hit by Michael Deitch, Mac Grab, and Kenneth Gorell. Interestingly, of the 6 drivers involved, none of which were championship contenders, and they all got away. Unfortunately, though, that's going to be a gaggle of drivers, not only who are quick, but who are all fighting for the win. And this is what happens when you get into the mentality of racing aggressively early. These consequences are going to be coming quick, and if it was the white flag, well, there's nothing more to it. But now some of these drivers might have to consider running with damaged race cars, and the yellow flag will fly for the 3rd time tonight. Take a look on board here with a Mac Grab and see what happened over the course of that caution, and you'll see how tricky it was involved inside the cockpits. So Grab was up on the top side of the track when all went down, and nowhere to go, because both the middle and high grooves saw sliding, and unfortunately Mac Grab caught one of them. That was enough for some serious front-end damage. Caution will fly. It's the 3rd time tonight, and so we'll take a look back live and see what's going on with Jordan Kuntz, your leader, Henry Kaloff, and the company who fight at the head of the field. Jordan's been the leader for the last few laps here. Looks like he's been quite content with the spot he holds. You take a look back though, most other drivers decided now's the time to head to pit road once again. So, with that being said, you're seeing a few others still get their way back out. There's Michael Deitch, there's Mac Grab, and now everyone's bundling themselves back up to the leader, Kuntz and company. Tire set limit tonight is 4, and most drivers anticipating we will not have to go for another, so that's why so many drivers just went down and into pit road. And you can see Jordan Kuntz, Henry Kaloff, they're the only 2 drivers inside the top 10 who did not just go down to pit road for a stop. Everyone else, from Tigner to Van Pelt to Matthew Weeks and so on and so forth, everyone else decided now's the time. Pit road, once again, very popular with the drivers, and the caution quick enough means there's a chance. 54 laps in and a 90. Next time through, we'll go double file again. Jordan Kuntz in control. It'll be Kuntz, Kaloff, Vinny Tigner, top 3. So, the new tires are going to be coming in rather quick here. The front row is going to be composed of drivers who have old rubber. Everyone else, they've all got the new stuff. Will it come in quick enough? Well, we'll see. The big problem is right now, what can the driver of the number 99 do here? Is that old rubber going to be satisfactory? Honestly, very unlikely, but Jordan Kuntz knows how to work old tires, and especially when it comes to situations such as this. Although it doesn't look like we will need another caution to get to the end of the way or another pit stop, Jordan Kuntz has been able to make things happen before with tires that we have never seen in SNT. So if there's any driver who's going to risk it and try to go the distance on this one, very likely that the most successful driver would be the number 99. And with them, he does have Henry Kaloff, who's done a pretty good job so far tonight. Now, the difference in tire is very minimal, mind you, between these drivers. Henry Kaloff right now is on, give or take, a 7-lap stint, and not a lot of them have been run under green. We only really got about a lap and a half at green flag conditions, so the bet for both Jordan Kuntz and Henry Kaloff is one of two things. The tires will not matter because of how new they are for all drivers, or there might be another extra extension to the race, which would imply there's a reason to keep your stuff for later. Lap 90 and beyond, potentially. And in that case, Kuntz and Kaloff would have a significant advantage, one you can't get just by waiting it out. The iRacing pace car heads in once again. Henry Kaloff is going to be alongside Jordan Kuntz, and it's about time we go green flag racing. Restart number 3, and again the inside dominates, and up in front, Kuntz gets about a car length and a half. Now time to see what those new tires can do as they go toe-to-toe for the victory. Jordan Kuntz already side by side, but not with a driver who's got a new tire. Instead, it's the old guard. Henry Kaloff's going to have himself up on the track once again. Vinny Tigner, Jordan Owens, so on and so forth, very far spread out. I mean, you can see now Owens, who was previously involved in an incident, all the way back at the end of the field. Meanwhile, Vinny Tigner is back up in the fight. He finds himself, of course, in P5 here, and the question becomes, what's up next? So now everyone gets simmered down and settled in. Jordan Kuntz is going to have himself the race lead. He's going to have, of course, Henry Kaloff just moments away from him. Now there's a little bit of an issue. What comes of it? The 57 lap mark we've just hit. And now for Henry Kaloff, well, he has track position, doesn't have the race lead. And as you can see so far, it looks like the big problem is what exactly is going on between Kaloff and Henry, of course, and Jordan Kuntz. What can they do with old rubber to communicate with one another? Most likely, they're not working with one another. The big problem is what's going to happen between, of course, the new driver tires. Some of these guys do have teammates they're working with. Henry, ironically, has a driver on new rubber that he is working with. And that driver right now is 3 wide. That's going to be Michael Deitch. Then, of course, you've got, looking to the middle, Matt Grab. Jordan Owens is going to be right there, diving to the inside groove. Looks like he's going to be the one driver that has to give. That fight's going to be intense, but right now, Henry Kaloff and Jordan Kuntz are going toe-to-toe. Take a ride on board now with Kaloff as he continues to fight for the race lead. Take a look at that telemetry, too. He might be doing something different. Letting a lot of the wheel do the work. That's one thing. Not going to be using the brake, of course, but instead you can see the weaving and bobbing, very subtle, back and forth for Henry Kaloff. And the steering wheel, in a lot of ways, does the driving for a driver as much as the pedals do. Taking those left turns is not simple at a speed of more than 170 miles an hour, and it looks like right now he's going to let those minor corrections do a lot more than you might think. Doesn't look like it's anything major outside of the cockpit, but for Henry Kaloff right now, those minor specificities, those minor jolts back and forth are the difference between being right in the groove and being out of it. Right now for Henry Kaloff, it looks like no doubt he is in the groove and doing a pretty good job of it. Taking the 63 down low and in, it looks like Henry's got the advantage at the line once again. Kaloff's got himself a groove up, and it looks like it's going to be Jordan Kuntz who has to go 2 grooves up as a result. No driver going to decide to take it all the way down to the bottom. Jackson Van Pelt's got himself way up high. Vinny Tigner, he's now going to have a chance to look right down low. Now drivers are just taking advantage of different circumstances. Up and in, Jackson Van Pelt. He'll go with Matthew Weeks. Vinny Tigner's trying to find a way to dive low, and now he's got one. What can you do looking to the bottom? Right now, the high side, as it's been all night long, is had the advantage in racing circumstance. The inside, in all honesty, has only had it through those restarts where Jordan Kuntz has gotten massive jumps many a time over. And so Kaloff sends it deep. 3 wide might occur here with Matthew Weeks getting oh so close. Jackson Van Pelt going to be on the back bumper of the 11, the 71 on the back bumper of the 07. And this is when it becomes a chain reaction of aggression. These top 2 drivers, well, they've been setting the example. Now everyone else comes. 63 laps in, and the 63 is leading. Looks like it's fitting now for Henry Kaloff, but will he hang on come lap number 90? Jordan Kuntz has been keeping him honest side by side. The issue right now becomes whether or not Jordan Kuntz has what it takes. But I think we've seen before, and if you haven't before, with SNT anyway, this is the driver who knows what it's like on old rubber. Matthew Weeks, though, knows what it's like in Michigan. And if we're talking about history, the driver of the number 11, well, Matthew Weeks, he has a wonderful history here with Michigan. Unlike any other. Season 4 of the Truck Series. We'd have to go back to late 2022 for this one, but either way, it's a race where Matthew Weeks really made his mark. He was a rookie at that time, a driver who was brand new to the field and was not a full-time competitor at that point, and yet he came to the field and he stayed not only clean out of incident but also was the winning man when all was said and done. It came down to a competition, of course, composed of a lot of attrition. A lot of drivers ended up wrecking out in dramatic fashion, admittedly, but Matthew Weeks was also bad fast, and he kept himself ahead of even a young Jordan Kuntz. At that time, these drivers might have not known each other all too well, but it was a fight that was raced, at least up in front, very clean. And now they're doing it all over again, this time for a title. And we talked about how this is a complete reset. Yeah, Henry Kaloff is going to benefit from that one significantly. The number 63, he's got himself dropped down to the bottom groove here, and he's working real well. Kaloff knows that everything from previous, it's all behind. Doesn't matter any longer. There is absolutely no need to worry about what's happened beforehand. What comes now, well, the big question is, now, can he capitalize on it tonight, or does he have to go all the way to Iowa? Matthew Weeks, Gino Matto, Matthew White also in the mix. White hasn't done all too much. The number 29 machine, of course, he finds himself tucked in the line, but the rookie here in the 29 has been remarkably clean. Remarkably, shall we say, disguised from the pack. He's been there, but he hasn't done all too much with being there. Now he finds himself low with Jordan Owens up top, and Owens in a lot of ways has had very similar methods to Matthew White and vice versa. The way they've raced in the pack alongside each other, the way they've kept themselves rather discreet throughout the entirety of the series. For the majority of the season anyway, they've gone at each other with, of course, green flag action. It's remarkably familiar. And with that being said, it might lead to some very similar reactions here. Up the track goes Jordan Owens into Jackson Van Pelt. Contact. We stay straight, but we're very unlikely to stay green. Owens down the track again, this time with damage. Yellow flags out, and the caution flies 67 laps in. Owens involved. Take a look at this one as we might see drivers head to pit road, major race implications, and perhaps championship implications. And Owens dropping down low. Looks like the damage not for the wall, but instead from contact. Took, of course, one more look back. And Jordan Owens is low at the time of the impact here. Matthew Weeks working with them, but it looks like, first and foremost, Gino Matto right there. And as long as the Owens machine stays straight, wouldn't have been anything, but it looks like a wiggle and out of his control, almost involuntary. The 45 shot up the circuit. One more time inside the cockpit here might give you a better perspective as to what just happened. and that minor bobble sets off a major incident. Caution flies, the 45 of Owens gets the worst of it, and so here we come to pit road. Everyone together again. Jordan Kuntz is going to lead him, and this is more than likely last pit stop, no matter what, 20-odd laps remaining, and as a result, even if we have a caution, there isn't much of an incentive to come in, but Jordan Kuntz gets bailed out, and now it's time to go at it once more. 69 laps in at a 90, nice entry for everyone. Owens a little bit later than everyone else. Nevertheless, we should see him back inside the top 10. And Kuntz gets rolling quickest. Then you'll have Henry Kaloff again, Matthew Weeks, Gino Marrow, Matthew White, and Trey Holmes. Holmes has not been mentioned all night long, and yet he's once again inside the top 10. Let's see now what Trey can do. 69 laps in out of 90, and we're getting rather close now to the end of the campaign. With that being said, we'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulation. And this is the best time to join iRacing if you're a new sim racer, if you're a veteran who has simply not experienced this platform. This is the time, this is the place to go. There is no other platform quite like iRacing. Visit iRacing.com/Black Friday for a 50% off discount for new memberships and then 25% off for new renewals and reactivations. iRacing is the world's leading motorsport platform for virtual sim racing. From stock cars to open wheel cars to dirt racing and anything in between. From the classics of the 1950s and 60s to the contemporary racing of today, iRacing is the best place to go to start your sim racing career. With that being said, visit iRacing.com/Black Friday after tonight's broadcast to begin your sim racing career. We would love to see you on the track. Lap number 70 here, drivers getting the signal of 1 lap to green, and so we'll keep it with you as we go at it once again. As it stands, 21 laps to go, and since we missed the 22 lap to go marker, we'll crank it up this time by courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. TrackCams22.com. Let's talk a little bit more about them bringing both the track and car angles for tonight's broadcast. Of course, for more than 2 seasons now, TrackCams22.com has provided the best cameras on the iRacing market at broadcast level, no matter where you need to go. For more than 100 cars and 100 tracks, the options are practically limitless. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams to find out more about iRacing's leading camera providers. The best broadcasters use the best cameras. You're watching live on FTN, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. This is the Michigan International 180, and now the championship battle is once again on the line with less than 20 laps of green flag racing from here. If there's any other yellow flag, we're getting rather close to overtime territory. 12 drivers left on the circuit, most of which now on the lead lap, and it will be Jordan Kuntz again who brings the field up the green. We're going to crank it up now thanks to our partners at TrackCams22.com, and the 63 is going to let loose on the outside, but Kuntz once again with the edge down low. Green flags out with 20 laps remaining. Let's crank it up in Michigan. Jordan Kuntz still barely hangs on to the race lead, but Matthew Weeks continues the offense. 15 laps to go, sliding down to the bottom groove. Matthew Weeks takes the race lead, and that minor tag going to take all the momentum away from the number 99. Championship leaders, first, second, third, and fourth. Vinny Tigner, the only outlier. He currently runs in 11th now. It looks like it's going to come down to these final four. Gino Matto, the rookie, finding himself right beside Henry Kaloff, but only briefly. Henry now finds himself alone in third, but it'll be once again the championship contenders. First and second, Jordan Kuntz, Matthew Weeks, and they are once again the class of the field. Up and in front, it looks like now the question becomes, can Henry Kaloff get involved? Can Gino Matto get involved? And there's a little bit, of course, questions going at each other many a time before. And now the problem becomes there's not a lot of drivers to speak of here. 4 drivers left in the championship race that are up in front. Vinny Tigner has fallen back. And now these top 2, they seem to be the class of it once again. A baker's dozen remain. Matthew Weeks is going to hang on with about a tenth of a second advantage over Jordan Kuntz here. Take a look on the back end now, the number 11, and you'll see Kuntz is there. Can't quite put the pressure on just yet. It looks like he's on offense, but can't just at all find the room. And it becomes slowly but surely about finding room more than anything else. Maybe not going to get a mistake out of that number 99 or out of the 11 any longer, but now pace is going to be relatively even. Maybe there's a chance, of course, to see what happens up next. 13 laps to go becomes 12 laps to go. And now a dozen is left here. Jordan Kuntz, a little bit of a different perspective. He's watching the back end of this number 11 and knows there's nothing more he can do but watch for at least now as he slides up the circuit once, twice. Kuntz with a mistake. Here comes Henry Kaloff. Henry going to take a chance, and so does Gino Matto. Side by side, both drivers amongst each other. It looks like the 71 now has the edge for second place. Gino Matto gets by, cautions out. Yellow flag will fly. The cause back of the field. Looks like Guerrero gets away. Jackson Van Pelt to pit road with significant damage. 12 laps to go. Your fourth caution flies. With the yellow flag out once again, Jackson Van Pelt looks like he has significant damage. Race ending at that. And he was puttering down the circuit at the time of this incident, and you can see a little bit more of what caused it. Jackson found himself running single file. He was at the tail end of the pack and now finds himself 12th place. So it looks like very little chance for him to get back up inside the top 10 tonight as a result of this wreck. And up the track, you can see there, shooting high, Trey Holmes. Then Jackson Van Pelt got involved. So for Trey, it started with the 88 and then went to the 07 here. So with Van Pelt and Trey Holmes going at each other, that front end contact shoots the 88 down, then Jackson Van Pelt is hit. Caution is out once again, 11 laps to go. And so the field remains on the circuit. Decided not to go down a pit road this time by, and so Matthew Weeks is your new race leader. Weeks in the 11, Gino Matto in the 71. Then you've got third place in Henry Kaloff. We are going to come back with only 8 laps of green flag racing, and it's going to be Matthew Weeks who's advantageous here. With that being said, we're going to take a little bit of time to step aside and thank our FTN sponsors and associates who have helped us out in getting to this point. Championship racing has been intense all season long, and we'd like to thank those who have helped bringing this coverage to you. You're watching the Michigan International 180. Last 10 laps are coming your way very soon. Matthew Weeks is currently your race leader. We'll be right back after this.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Nine laps remain as your championship fighters continue the opening round of the final five. Currently, Matthew Weeks leads Gino Marrow, Henry Kaloff, and Jordan Kuntz. Vinny Tigner a little bit further back, now in ninth. He's inside the top 10 once again, but still far away from his championship rivals at the head of the pack. Now it becomes about recovery. Can he recover? Currently, 10 drivers are left on the lead lap, the last of which is Jordan Owens, who's catching up to the field. Trey Holmes, Jackson Van Pelt, retirees as a result of that most recent wreck, race-ending damage, and terminal with that, of course, few amount of laps that we have left. Matthew Weeks, though, is going to have the edge down low. Gino Marrow is going to be up top, the rookie in the 71, brand new driver, and we've spoken of it many times. He is still looking for his first career top three. If he wins tonight, he'll be pegged as the championship favorite come next week. Green flags out. Outside, though, does not get a good start. Henry Kaloff nearly clears Gino Marrow, and that's to say nothing of Matthew Weeks, who has the lead once again, and the outside wins the fight through turns 1 and 2. So, Matthew Weeks now is going to have the edge. Down the back straightaway, we'll see if it remains in his favor. He's got Gino Marrow already fighting to get back up to him. Jordan Kuntz is going to rely, of course, being fourth place once again. Very similar to his early race strategy, it looks like he's going to end this race on the same note. Laying back, letting other drivers do the work for him, and slowly but surely carving through. And that carving process begins now. Side by side in the door bang there with third place, Henry Kaloff puts the 99 back inside the podium. And this is when it becomes all about the most accomplished drivers in SNT racing. Henry Kaloff has been, of course, here for a while, but he's no match for Kuntz when it comes to the record books. Multi-time champion, but he's going to face off against Matthew Weeks again, and if Weeks wins tonight, he's going to be perhaps a multi-time champion come next week. Back-to-back championship would be his, of course, if he ends up winning the title this season, and this victory would be a major first step toward just that. 7 laps to go, becomes 6 rather quick. Gino Marrow stays about a tenth of a second behind, and with them is still coming the 99 of Jordan Kuntz. Jordan stays about a tenth and a half back. Looks like no major gains for him. Meanwhile, mid-pack fights again. Mac Grab now looks to the inside of Henry Kaloff, and this looks to be perhaps the death sentence for the 63's chance to win. With Mac Grab also comes Matthew White, and multiple championship spoilers are fighting at once, and still Vinny Tigner's on the ropes here, trying to get back up with. Gino Marrow looks high, Gino Marrow looks low, still can't find the entry to get the race lead. Matthew Weeks is going to hold himself with the advantage here, but blocking is going to become difficult. Gino is in a must-win scenario, not only when you think about the championship, but when you think about his SNT career. Never before has he gotten up inside the top 3 to finish a race. Tonight's the best chance he's had all year long. Marrow looks low. The number 71 has it all the way down to the paint coming out of turns 3 and 4. And now he's got it side by side. Advantage out of turn 4. It's not clear yet. Matthew Weeks does have the lead lead at the line, but through turns 1 and 2, this is a very real chance for the 71 to take hold. Gino lunges deep. He'll be clear of now Matthew Weeks, but he'll slide up the track out of control. Here comes Matthew Weeks again. They'll be side by side, 4 laps remaining. Jordan Kuntz still looking on, and this is the best shot he has. He'll look low, doesn't have room to make a pass just yet. But with all this distraction up ahead of him, it means the number 99 has a perfect opportunity to slice and dice through. But that's if Vinny Tigner doesn't get in the way. Here comes Tigner. Kuntz gets loose. Matt Grab enters the mix for the race win. New tires for Tigner. He's got the advantage even with damage. 3 laps to go. Vinny Tigner now is going to have himself a shot to win his second 2-mile track of the year. Earlier in April of this year, he won an Auto Club, the most similar track to Michigan on the SNT calendar, and now he's in second. Matthew Weeks has to look back, and if he does, he'll see very clear the number 12 is right behind his back bumper, and if he gets ahead, it's very unlikely he'll have the time or the speed to win once more. 2 laps remaining. Vinny Tigner right there. He'll look high, and now he has a shot to go low. The door has been open, and Tigner just has to lunge through these turns and not fall out of control. He'll take the advantage, but Matthew Weeks is still going to keep him honest. On the quarter panel, the number 11 remains. Coming down the back straightaway once again, Weeks will have a shot to go through turn 3 and 4 and maybe make the pass, but Tigner's speed is a little bit too much now, and it looks like he is perfectly set up to lead the final 4 corners. First time all night long that Vinny Tigner is up and ahead on his own. The body armor number 12 has been battered and bruised all throughout the night, involved in a very early incident, fell out of the top 10. Now, Vinny Tigner leads with 1 lap to go. Victory tonight is a perfect way to go into the season finale with the championship lead. A top 5 and a victory is the winning combination for the championship, and for Vinny Tigner, he would love to get the job done and open up this round with the win. Matthew Weeks is now fading into the distance. Same goes for Marrow, Kaloff, and Kuntz. The number 12 coming through turns 3 and 4 has no battle to fight. He is alone and up ahead. Vinny Tigner, your league owner, is coming away with his 2nd win of the season and his 3rd of the year. It's his most important. He'll open the championship finale round with a victory. Vinny Tigner, winner in Michigan, and he'll lead the championship standings going in to your season finale. The regular season champ and your first race winner in the round of 5. Importantly, Vinny Tigner only led 2 laps tonight, lap 89 and lap 90. He finishes the race strong, and that's the only lap that matters, 90. He led the last. He'll win in Michigan. And so comes Tigner to burn it down once again. Winning earlier this season at Talladega, that's what punched his ticket into the championship round. Remarkably consistent, and now Tigner gets to burn it down. Vinny Tigner going to head to Victory Circle in Michigan and continue the celebration. What a victory. And for Tigner, the championship now is just 1 good race away. He'll park it, and now the championship race comes down to your final laps in Iowa, but a strong start for all those involved in the title fight. Tigner, your race winner. Let's go through your race result before we get a word from your top 3 finishers. Winners, Vinny Tigner by 0.3 of a second over Matthew Weeks in P2 and Gino Marrow there in 3rd. It'll be Matt Grab 4th and Jordan Kuntz in 5th place with Matthew White 6th, Tyler Seaver in 7th, his best career finish, and Henry Kaloff, who comes away in the P8. tonight. He's going to find himself 8th over Kenneth Corral 9th, and Jordan Owens not able to back up the victory from last week with another. He will finish 10th, and he ends up the last driver on the lead lap. Retirees from here on out: Trey Holmes, Jackson Van Pelt, Michael Deitch, and Rick Spencer-Walt to make up the 14-car field, and it comes down to that last stint. 8 laps, that's all that Vinny Tigner needed to make it from the mid-top 10 to the checkered flag, all by himself there. An exciting way to finish up the opening race of this final round, and Vinny Tigner's now got the edge going into your championship finale. Let's get a word now from your top 3 finishers, and first and foremost here for the man who got the job done, Tigner, in his most important career victory. Vinny, those last 8 laps were the difference between victory and defeat. You found yourself lined up 9th on the order and were able to climb through, making a position up for every lap we had left to win and lead the final 2 laps, which of course mattered most. You've got the edge now in the championship race with 1 race remaining. What a big victory it is for this team, of course, regular season champion, and now opening the final round with the victory.
Yeah, that was something right there. That last run, that last restart we had, my monitors went out. I had a black screen, and then I went to single monitor, and I could barely see, so I crashed through the infield and kept it on track. I didn't hit the wall, luckily, and then got it back to the triple monitors, displayed again, and then I just kind of rode in the back, and I was like, well, I'm not going to catch the field at this point, so I just kind of saved my tires and just hope for a caution, and I got that lucky break right there, and I knew on that restart I was going to have to go for it, and there was a couple moments where I didn't know if I was going to get there or not, but I did what I could, and I can't believe what just happened. That was a wild race for me.
And a wild race it was. You were involved in some of those early incidents to kick off tonight. We saw close pack racing and maybe a little bit more aggression than what we're used to here in Michigan and Auto Club alike. I mean, you won at Auto Club, so we figured you'd be one of the best drivers to go out here, but you didn't find yourself in the best of positions early. You had to fight from the back of the field an awful lot.
Yeah, with this new updated setup in these cars, it took my edge, the little edge I had at this track. I had to overcome that. I couldn't run the same lines that I'm used to running, and that it's worked for me in the past. So I kind of had to learn again, and yeah, I mean, I was hit. I think every incident on track, I was pretty much involved in it. The luck on my side tonight was not there till the end. Obviously, it all came back around for me, so I guess I can't complain now.
And now only 1 race remains, and it's what separates you from an SNT championship. Iowa, we were at a very similar track in Richmond before, of course, to get some reps in perhaps. The championship is not, of course, going to be guaranteed, but you got yourself a slightly better position. Matthew Weeks and Gino Marrow definitely kept you honest, so what do you think your chances are now to hold on and keep that points advantage?
I think it's pretty good. I'm going to do what I keep doing here. I really feel good about it, so I'm ready to go after it next week. Or actually, it's going to be in a few weeks now. I think we're going to have another off week next weekend, so I'll be after it in a couple of weeks.
In 2 weekends' time, we're figuring out, of course, who's crowned a champion, but Vinny, you've got the advantage to kick the fight off again. 2 laps led, the most important of the night. Any final comments and shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, of course, thanks to you for everything you do, and thanks to the guys that showed up tonight. And I know it wasn't the cleanest race tonight, but it was bound to happen this season since we go green most of these races. So, but yeah, thanks to those guys, and hopefully everybody enjoyed that one.
Well, Vinny Tigner, checkered flag and a thriller to the finish line here in Michigan. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
And for Vinny Tigner, he's got the best of races to look back on. Matthew Weeks, not half bad as well. 32 laps led, not to mention starting and finishing second place tonight. Matthew, the championship race, of course, it's going to start tight. You're just only a few points back now on Vinny Tigner. And with time to spare in Iowa, it's a good start, but I'm sure you would have loved that race victory.
Yeah, I definitely would have. I really didn't want to see Vinny get that because of think he had a little bit of point gap coming in to start this round, so I was trying to get that win so we can be probably me with the point lead or closer. I really don't know how the points work here. I just race, man, so but yeah, we felt pretty good. Vinny pulled a good strat and saved back there while me and Jordan were racing hard before that last caution. And man, when he passed me and he had so much more grip, I was sitting there like, did he take tires?
And it looks like tires were just the difference tonight. Well, when you think about it, actually it looks like, according to timing and scoring, might have not been. We'll get back to that momentarily. Anyhow, the big difference, of course, in this race for you, we did have a few cautions in between. Maybe not what we're used to when it comes down to that green flag racing being oh so common. How was it adapting? Because a lot of the time we really saw a huge difference from yellow flags repeatedly compared to what we're expecting.
It throws me off because I'm the guy that thrives on the long run. That's like my favorite thing to do is just sit there, take my time early, and pick them off later in the run. So man, once we got to like 3 or 4 cautions, I was telling Trey and them, I'm like, man, this has to be like probably the worst race we've had in this league ever because we don't ever have more than 2 usually if we even get one. So it threw a wrench in things. Uh, I know the first caution come out like perfect because I was going to split it. I was going to pit 30, then pit 60. I was just going to do the 2-stopper there, and so that kind of played out. And then I was like, okay, now everyone's on the same strat as me after the first caution. I was like, it's going to work out good, and we'll just go hard, pit when we have to, and then another one, and then I got caught in one, and it was a mess. I was surprised we had that many, but like I told Vinny there, is like for how many amazing races we have had for a couple seasons now, we was bound to at least have one bad one eventually. So it sucks it was tonight at Michigan, but it is what it is.
A little bit of chaos in between, so it comes down to one last event, Iowa. We were at Richmond. Well, I'm sure you remember, you came away with the victory, and those are two of the most similar tracks to one another, short tracks, and of course, same shot, same size, same shape, same lap length. So you got yourself maybe another good track in your back pocket to finish it off. You got the disadvantage, of course, not winning tonight, but you still get away with the podium, and those are some heavy points to work off of if, of course, the checkered flag goes your way next week.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about it. Like, I know they're Richmond and Iowa are similar, but they drive totally different in my opinion, and I still haven't figured out Iowa as well. I don't race there as much. I know I've won there before in another league, and then after that, I've just been stuck, probably like a 10th place car. So I might have to run some laps just to figure it out, and hopefully we bring some speed when we do race, and we can try to get a dub. That'd be good to walk out with a big win.
And one last chance to go for the victory and 2 consecutive titles. Matthew Weeks beginning this championship fight with a 2nd place finish. Any final comments you'd like to give?
Shout out to you, man, for doing the broadcast. Can't wait to go back and watch it. Even though there's some caution, there's still some really good racing going on. And shout out to everyone that watched it. And there was some, like I said, there was good side by side stuff, close racing. Shout out to my buddy Jordan, Trey for showing up and racing tonight. They're part timers, so it's cool to see them show up and run with us here and there. And my buddy Justin Vandermeer at JV Designs, hit him up on Twitter. He'll paint you an amazing scheme. He put this old black scheme back on this Xfinity car, and it looks so sharp with the red chrome. So hit him up, get you something nice. As I always say, man, you have a nice looking car, you race good. So.
Well, Matthew Weeks, 2nd on the day here, back with the red accents at a 2nd place to go with to kick off the championship battle. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man, you have a good one.
And with Matthew Weeks on the way, a first-time podium sitter. And talking about when it matters most, Gino Marrow tonight showing that the race victory, it seems to be inevitable for this team. 3rd place, your first podium, 14 laps led, Gino. Tonight could have gone your way if all, of course, was just right. But still, a great effort for your career best.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And, of course, tonight, championship race going.
Okay. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's just this track's pretty slick. Had the lead. I don't know what caution it was, so I guess it was like technically 3rd, maybe 2nd to last caution. Wanted to stay out maybe, but I was trying to play the fuel game. We had to pit one more time, and unfortunately, when that caution before maybe, I think 10 to go maybe, came out, I was about half a lap to the good, saving in the draft and really clutching in even before corner entry started. So giving up that lead did not help leading the most laps and whatnot. I'm not sure if you get a bonus point for having the fastest lap, but at least I got that.
Well, it looks like tonight 14 laps led for you, so we did see a lot of drivers contesting for a lead back and forth. You, one of which, and tonight really clicked to keep you in the top 3. Something we've discussed all year on the broadcast is all about finishing and getting that execution at the end, and tonight you did that better than any other race before. Were there any changes to your approach or mindset that you think might have influenced you in that regard?
I mean, I like slick tracks. Most leagues really just they cloud up the sky. They have the track so low that you're just driving it off the right front. But here at Michigan, and it being just a slick track in general, you can drive it off the right front or right rear, even though the bottom felt really slick. When I just got home, luckily I practiced the other day, but I'm like, oh, okay, maybe the bottom has some life to it, and no, just banging the splitter off of it and no grip down there, just totally at the gas. But all aggressive, trying to go get it, laps led, and maybe potentially the win. But Weeks was just right there, and unfortunately, you really can't go to the bottom with these things anymore with the setup that iRacing has. So it was really kind of a one lane until Vinny came out of nowhere with us and got us both.
Well, now with that final race ahead of us here, it's a 2-race championship format, doing a lot of work in getting this podium, and there's still a title perhaps on the line here. Everything from the past really doesn't matter. It comes down to this race and the next. So what are you thinking about when it comes to Iowa? We're heading forth very soon.
I feel like I can have a pretty good race at Iowa. It's very physical, and you really got to be on the gas and brake a lot, and that's really where I strongly like. I feel like I can control the car better instead of let draft do the talk, and it's really all physical and letting your tires do the work for you. So I feel like we'll be in a better position to get our first win and maybe a championship.
And the title very close now for the brand new team in the 71, Gino Marrow, first career podium, and a top 3 to open up the championship round. Any final comments you'd like to share?
I'd like to big shout out to Come Air Creative. Alan really puts these schemes together and put it together for my teammate, which luckily he's getting better internet here shortly. And we've been doing pretty good. Unfortunately, he can't really race. He's been doing work and real life stuff, but it's pretty cool to race here. It's an amazing league. Big thank you to Vinny and all the admins for letting me race here and putting together an amazing event. But yeah, I guess I'll see you next week for the championship.
Gino Marrow getting the podium when it matters the most. 3rd place on the day here from Michigan. Thank you again for stopping by.
Appreciate it.
And a tale of 3 different races. Gino Marrow with a first career podium, one that's been months in the making. Meanwhile, Matthew Weeks in a very familiar spot here in Michigan, the top 3. 32 laps led and a 2nd place finish. Vinny Tigner, of all your drivers in the podium, led the least laps at only 2. Doesn't matter, he's still the race winner as he got to the checkered flag, the first of all those, and wins to open up the championship round. Meaning he's got the points advantage heading into our last race of the season, the Iowa Speedway. That's what it comes down to. Short track racing for 150 more laps. The title battle has been fierce so far, but with multiple drivers, of course, 3 of which getting top 3s, of course, and 4 of your top 5 drivers in the championship getting top 5s, it means it's going to be almost a dead even fight, and whoever wins Iowa more than likely comes away with the championship. Vinny Tigner might have the advantage, but that can change in a moment's notice when we go down to the cornfields once again to settle the title. With that being said, you've been watching coverage from the virtual Michigan International Speedway of Saturday Night Thunder. Tonight, the Michigan International 180 here on iRacing, of course, exciting action from start to finish. Broadcasting exclusively on FTN Broadcasting, I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing all throughout the way. If you've enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to join the SNT community or any other broadcasted league on the channel, make sure to visit the QR code on your screen, scan it, or click the links in the description, and you can figure out more about what's going on here at FTN and exactly how you can join the fun on this channel. thank you for tuning in to tonight's presentation from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We hope you have a fantastic night.